The death of a 9-year-old Dalit boy in Rajasthan is a story that should shake all of us as we mark 75 years of independence. Because in the 21st century, India is dealing with caste violence and casteism in its ugliest forms. The 9-year-old Dalit boy was brutally allegedly beaten by his upper caste teacher last month for daring to drink water from a pot that was only meant apparently for upper castes. The little boy died in hospital in Ahmedabad last week. All he wanted to do was drink water. And his father has said in his police complaint that when he did that, the teacher abused the son with casteist slurs and then proceeded to beat him. The boy was badly injured internally, both in his ear and his eye. The teacher has been arrested and charged with murder under the SC/ST Act. The issue has snowballed into a huge political controversy as well, with the Ashok Gehlot government facing criticism not just from the opposition but also from its own ranks. A Congress MLA has quit over this. Congress leader Sachin Pilot went to meet the boy's family today. But will it be enough? Well, joining us first on the program tonight is the former Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Meira Kumar, who put out a very powerful tweet today, ma'am. I just want to read out what you said. You said 100 years ago, my father, Babu Jagjeevan Ram, was prohibited from drinking water in school from the pitcher that was meant for Savarna Hindus. It was a miracle that his life was saved. Today, a 9-year-old Dalit boy has been killed for the same reason. Ma'am, very powerful tweet by you there as you draw that comparison between what happened to your father and this child.
What has happened is worst. 100 years ago, my father was able to survive. After 100 years, the little boy dies. So this is the progress we have made. Nidhi, I want to thank you for inviting me to this program. It's an honor and giving me the opportunity to express my feelings. I once asked my father, Babu Jagjeevan Ramji, why did you fight for the freedom of this country? Why were you a freedom fighter? Why did you take that risk? This country has done nothing for you or for your ancestors except heap insults, humiliation, and inhuman atrocities on them. Why did you do that? So he said, no, free India is going to change. We'll have a casteless society. I'm glad that he's not there now, 75 years after independence, to see that India has not changed. Sad.
Right.
Yes, you can see progress in this field and that field and that field, and you can make so many examples you can give. But what is the basic? What is the humanity, the human factor, the humane factor? What is there? Is it amiss? There's so much poison, hatred, violence in the minds of the people. Everybody pities the Dalits.
I just wanted to ask you, why do you think we're at this point where we have achieved so much as a country? And, we're just so excited about celebrating 75 years of independence. But is this casteism so deeply entrenched? Do you think that this is something that's going to be nearly impossible to come out of?
I think it is impossible to come out of. Nothing is impossible. We just have to put in willpower, political will, social mindset. So many things we have to put in, so much of change. There's been so much of change. But why this has not changed? I know why it has not changed. My father had given me the example, reason why it has not changed. Do you want me to tell you?
Please do.
Time? If you have the time, I'll tell you.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
I asked my father, Babuji, ये जाति व्यवस्था क्यों नहीं बदलती है? सब कुछ बदल जाता है. Everything changes with time. Why doesn't this change? He said, if your basic needs are met, roti, kapda, makan, ilaj ke paise, padhai ke paise, then you need two things. You need love and you need respect. Love is easy to get. In a family you get love. Friends you get love. But respect is very difficult to get. You have to do tapasya to get respect. Very hard work, sincerity, honesty. So much you have to toil to get respect. But in a system where you get respect the moment you are born, why would you change that system? In a system where you get respect, even if you have so many defects in your character, why would you change that system? So those who have a hold on this system wouldn't ever want to change it. That is a reason.
How much of this, ma'am, is a failure, you think, of the political class in this country? We continue to seek votes on caste lines, and I guess that's just the reality of the country we live in. But how much of this is a failure of our political leadership across the board? Today it has happened in a Congress government in Rajasthan, but it has happened in Gujarat. It has happened in many other states. This is not new.
Yes, political class, political people, those who are in the public life are responsible after all. They come to serve the people. But to limit it to put the burden entirely on the political class and the political system will be to get the issue lost in a wood. You see, you talk of this party is ruling in this state, the other party is ruling in this is the statistics of the state, this is a comparison, and you just get lost in that. You're not addressing the main issue. How do you get rid of the caste system? We stray away from that. So that is why I really don't want that we should just end up discussing whose party is ruling in which state and how many instances have happened. Let's not go into the statistics.
Ma'am, one final question, if I could ask you. You've been you're such an accomplished, you've been a politician, diplomat, everything that you've done. But do you find even today that you are often judged by your caste and that background more than by your other achievements?
Yes, my father achieved so much and with such great difficulty, but even today when he is mentioned, he is called Dalit leader. Now, no other leader is called by his caste. But my father, because he was Dalit, so he's called by his caste. I am also. So many times I didn't face the difficulties he faced because I was sheltered and protected in a way. But I did. There were snide remarks which humiliated me. There were gestures. There were open statements made to me. You see, it's not that Dalits are fools or foolish. They have intellect and very sharp intellect, and they can feel. We have feelings and we have intellect. We can understand when we are being humiliated. And I'll tell you, not in India, leave alone India. I was humiliated in London when I was posted there. I was looking for a house to live in as I was posted there. So there was one person, he was not even a Hindu, he was a Christian, Mr. Jacob. He wanted to give me his house and rent. I liked the house. And I said, I will shift. He said, fine, we shift. When he was leaving, he shot his last question. He said, are you a Brahmin? I said, no, I'm not a Brahmin. I'm a scheduled caste. You have any problem? He said, no, and he went away. But he never gave me the house. Why did he ask me my caste? He was living in London for 25 years. So you see, this has not gone. My father was the Deputy Prime Minister of India, 1978. He went to Varanasi to unveil the statue of Dr. Sampurnanand. There, he was humiliated. He was abused by his caste. He was the Deputy Prime Minister, mind you, a very powerful personality. He was abused by his caste, and he was asked to go away, saying, Jagjeevan, Chamar, chale jao. So he came home and they washed the statue with Ganga Jal because it got polluted. So you are asking a question which is very apparent. That caste system, it takes into its embrace everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ma'am, I'm really speechless, and I really appreciate that you've shared these stories with us today. I think often we forget, as you know, we celebrate everything around us, that there's still so much that's part of our society that's literally in the dark ages. Thank you so much, Meira Kumar, for joining us on NDTV today with your thoughts on this. Thank you. Well, staying with that horrific story from Rajasthan, joining us now is the former Deputy Chief Minister of Rajasthan and senior Congress leader Sachin Pilot, who in fact is on his way back after meeting the Dalit boy's family today. Sachin Pilot, thanks very much for being with us. Tell us about your visit to the family. They must be so heartbroken. What did they tell you?
Very tragic. I met the family, the father, the grandfather, 9 years old, studying in school, and was clearly being discriminated when he was attacked by the teacher, and he lost his life very tragically. I think the government has taken action of putting a charge sheet and against the teacher. They now derecognized the school, given some financial compensation. But what's far more important is that once the dead body was brought in from Ahmedabad, the burial happened after 9 o'clock at night, and there was a police lathi charge on the family and other people who would gather around that. So the father and the grandfather have sustained injuries. They're still in fear. I've assured them that we'll provide all arrangement for security for their well-being. But clearly there is a sense of fear amongst not just that family, but amongst the community. And we have to really work tirelessly to evoke that confidence that even though we have laws and regulations, but the implementation sometimes lacks. And one can't get away with brutalizing a child, especially if he's from a marginalized background. So that confidence building, I think, needs a lot of effort to be done.
Well, Sachin, what you just said though about the police lathi charge on the family, I mean, is that not a direct failure then of the Rajasthan government?
Well, I don't know what the circumstances could have been, because here's the victim's family. The dead body was brought in by road by the police, and then I think the government must take action against those police officers who were involved in having a lathi charge on the very family of the deceased. That's something that I think should be taken up straight away. I don't know why the delay in taking action against the police officers. The family is under a lot of stress and back, obviously. But this victimization of communities that are marginalized in our society is something that's completely unacceptable. And whether you're in opposition or government, you have to stand up and speak for what's right. I believe this boy, first of all, no teacher should hit children. The fact that this boy was injured, 15 days suffering in hospital, and then once the family has put an FIR saying that the boy was not allowed, or he was beaten up because he drank water from a pot kept for the teacher. You know, after 75 years of independence in any part of our country, if we are still faced with those dilemmas and those brutalities, that's unacceptable. My heart goes out to the
Sachin, there's been, in a sense, anger in your own party about this. A Congress MLA has sent in his resignation to the Chief Minister over this. Tell us about that. How much of an indictment this is then of Ashok Gehlot's governance?
I don't know. I've not spoken to Mr. Megwal, who's put in his resignation. He's from Baran district. I know him very well. He was district president of the party and now second-time MLA. He obviously was very anguished when he wrote that letter of resignation. I think we need to do a lot more to win the confidence of those people who have stood by us. And I say by us means by politicians, by people who have really had faith in the Constitution and now feeling a bit let down. It's not about one party, one government, one leader. is the whole ecosystem is not functioning as well as we think it is. In the interior parts of India, it is a huge bias. And, even in Pali district, about 100 kilometers from where I'm right now, a young man was killed because he had a mustache, but he was from a Dalit community. And some men attacked him and said that you can't have a mustache because, you're from the Dalit community. So many bridegrooms are taken down from their horses when they go for their wedding ceremonies. I think these issues, really something that we have to work strong. And I think that it's not about making laws and regulations. It's about enforcing the letter and spirit of what we believe is true.
But Sachin, how much of this is shadow boxing between you and Mr. Gehlot? We know you guys don't get along. Is there a political undertone that's playing out here?
Well, I don't think either Mr. Gehlot or I have ever told you that we don't get along. We get along well, fine enough for us to work together and make sure that we do better for the party and the government. But this is not about individuals, about me or anybody else. This is about this boy who's lost his life. We've condoned, and like I said, governments offer compensation, all sorts of things that could be done. But I think a police action against officers who indulge in lathi charge is required. And I think we need to work hard to really let people know that just because we are in government, we can't take things for granted and we can't allow the situation to get out of hand. And every time a crisis happens, we can't take action and say what more can be done. And I don't think it's enough to say it happens in other states. That's not the way I think anyone in authority should react, because every life is important and you must show the earnestness in your actions, not just in words.
All right, Sachin Pilot, thanks very much. I know you're traveling en route after meeting the family. Thank you for joining us in the middle of that sort of crazy drive back. But clearly, the Ashok Gehlot government is facing a lot of questions over this horrible incident. Thanks very much. And joining us now on the program is Devji Mansingham Patel, the Lok Sabha MP from the BJP from this area where this incident has happened, from Jalore. Adil Singh Boparai, spokesperson of the Congress, also with us. Devji, मैं आपसे सबसे पहले पूछना चाहती हूँ कि आज तो हम ये दो घटनाएं हुई हैं। एक तो जो बच्चे की मौत हुई, जिस तरह से उसे पीटा गया, और अब ये भी पता चल रहा है कि पुलिस ने भी फैमिली के ऊपर हाथ उठाया है और सचिन पायलट खुद ही कह रहे हैं कि पुलिस वालों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। दिस सीम्स टू बी क्वाइट अ बिग फेलियर ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट।
दीदी जी, पहले तो मैं ये जो घटना हुई बड़ी दुखद घटना है। एक छोटे से बच्चे की जान गई है और उसके ऊपर भी अगर ये जो लाठीचार्ज हुआ है, ये लाठीचार्ज जिस घटना के बाद में हुआ वो बड़ा दुखद है और सरकार को बड़ी संवेदनशीलता से इसको देखना चाहिए था और लाठीचार्ज ना हो ऐसी व्यवस्था करनी चाहिए थी, ताकि वहां पे जो परिजन है उन परिजनों को भी जो चोट आई, ऐसा सुनने में आया, वो चोट ना आती और उनके दुखती रग पे वापस दुख दिया, ये अच्छी बात नहीं है। जी निधि
जी, लेकिन देव जी, आप क्या चाहेंगे गहलोत गवर्नमेंट से? आप मुख्यमंत्री का इस्तीफा चाहेंगे? आपकी मांग क्या है?
हमारी एक ही मांग है, इस पे निष्पक्ष जांच हो और जो सामाजिक हमारा जो सौहार्द है वो पूरा बना रहे। जैसे इस घटना में मीडिया में कई दफा ये दिखाया गया है कि पानी पीने की वजह से, उसकी भी जांच होनी चाहिए। यहाँ पे सब एक साथ में रहते हैं और जहां तक हमने जानकारी ली है, उस जानकारी में भी ये आया है कि वहां मटकी जैसा कोई विषय नहीं था। पानी की एक टंकी है, उस टंकी में ही सब पानी पीते थे। ये जो प्राथमिक जांच इन्होंने की है एसपी और वहां के जो प्रशासन ने, उसकी भी गहनता से वो जांच कर ले। लेकिन अगर वहां मटकी नहीं थी तो ऐसा प्रकरण ना बने जिससे गांव के अंदर आज सभी आपस में भाईचारे से रह रहे हैं। जैसे ये स्कूल के प्रशासन की तरफ से भी बताया गया कि संचालन मंडल में भी एक एससी का मित्र जो है वो टीचर के रूप में कार्यरत है वहां पे, और भी जो उनका स्टाफ है उस स्टाफ में भी कम से कम 5 लोग जो है वो SC ST के हैं। कई मीडिया चैनल भी वहां पहुंचे हैं। उन मीडिया चैनल ने जब इसकी जांच की है गहनता से, तो उनको भी यही कहा गया कि भाई यहाँ पे ऐसा भेदभाव नहीं देखा गया। लेकिन जो ये बाहर प्रचलित हो रहा है, इससे यहाँ की जो सामाजिक सबकी समरसता है उसमें कहीं ना कहीं ठेस पहुंच रही है, जो नहीं पहुंचनी चाहिए। और सबको एकजुट होकर बिना भेदभाव जातिवाद को छोड़ के हम जो साथ में रह रहे हैं, ऐसे ही शांति से हम साथ में रहें, ऐसी व्यवस्था हम सबको मिलकर करनी चाहिए।
This is important what you are saying. आप कह रहे हैं कि the school had a number of SC/ST employees and teachers and others, and they are claiming कि मतलब ऐसे कभी होना नहीं चाहिए था. They don't understand कि क्यों हुआ. But Adil Boparai, the Congress has been very critical, when other incidents have happened, for example, in Gujarat, in Una, or in Uttar Pradesh, where we've seen atrocities against the Dalit community. Today, would you not admit that this is a failure of the state government? What has happened here?
Well, Nidhi ji, we all are pained. We are pained and we're saddened by this unfortunate incident. And the Congress party has zero tolerance for caste-based violence or communal violence. I think we're very clear, we're very emphatic in our belief that this kind of mindless violence has no place in society. And I think all of us as stakeholders, and to take cue from what Meira Kumari ji has said, all of us have to unitedly defeat this menace of casteism and communalism in this country. As far as the state government is concerned, the main accused person has been arrested under 302, read with the provision of the SC/ST Act. The Education Department has initiated an inquiry. The State SC/ST Commission has initiated an inquiry. This matter will be tried on a fast-track basis before a
And what about action against the police? Sachin Pilot is a senior leader of the party from Rajasthan, and he's saying he doesn't understand why there's a delay in acting against the police who have been high-handed with the family.
I have just learned about this. I'm sure Mr. Pilot will take it up with the Chief Minister. I, for one, will certainly convey this to my General Secretary to take it up with the Chief Minister. There are absolutely no two ways about this. There should not be any kind of violence or harassment of the victim or their family. They're aggrieved. The state government has announced an ex gratia compensation. So has the party. But let me be very clear. No amount of monetary compensation can make up for the loss of a loved one. Let me be very clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But however, the state is doing its bit. But okay. I don't want to indulge in politicking, Nidhi ji, but there is one fundamental distinction. There has been no attempt by the state government to protect the accused person. On the contrary, the state has promptly and swiftly acted against the accused person, as opposed to incidents in other parts of the country. But I don't want to go down that track. We are committed to the cause of an egalitarian and an inclusive society. That is the belief of our party. And we will leave no stone unturned to ensure that justice is delivered.
देवजी पटेल, मेरा आखिरी सवाल ये है, आपने मीरा कुमार का बयान अभी सुना होगा, और जिस तरह से उन्होंने बताया कि देखिए शी सो वेल अकम्प्लिश्ड, उन्होंने अपने फादर की बात करी, किस तरह से उन्होंने द काइंड ऑफ कास्टिज्म दे हैव फेस्ड. आज इस बच्चे के साथ ऐसा हुआ, हमने कई ऐसे किस्से सुने हैं. आप मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हैं, आपको क्या लगता है जब हम इतने साल हो गए इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद, अभी भी हम इस सब से झेल रहे हैं?
निधि जी, मैं आपकी जो मीरा कुमार जी ने जो कहा है वो भी मैंने सुना है, और मैं आपसे एक चीज कहना चाहूंगा. ये मारपीट हुई है और इस मारपीट में जो टीचर है उस टीचर को अरेस्ट कर लिया गया. लेकिन ये जो भेदभाव और पानी की मटकी का पानी नहीं पीने देने का जो विषय अभी रखा है, ये प्राथमिक दृष्टिया में देखे तो वहां पे नहीं आया है. वहां पे कई लोगों से पूछा है तो ये नहीं है. तो जो
मैं ओवरऑल भेदभाव की बात कर रही हूँ, ओवरऑल क्योंकि तो पूरी कंट्री का मामला है ना.
मैं निधि जी वही बात कर रहा हूँ कि ओवरऑल भेदभाव भी हमारे यहाँ पे अभी, जैसे हम लोग खुद जा रहे हैं, मैं कई जगह पे जा रहा हूँ, वहां खाना खाता हूँ, पानी पीते हैं हम लोग, कई लोग हमारे साथ में यहाँ पे रहते हैं, वो हमारे साथ में घूमते हैं. ये भेदभाव जितना ये दिखा रहे हैं, ऐसा मैंने अभी यहाँ पे मेरे क्षेत्र में लगभग नहीं देखा है. मेरे हिसाब से इसकी एक जांच होनी चाहिए, और बहुत ग्राउंड लेवल पे आके मीडिया के पर्सन है उनको भी जांच करनी चाहिए. अगर ऐसा कोई भेदभाव है तो जरूर उस पर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि ऐसा भेदभाव कतई सहन नहीं किया जा सकता. आज 75 वर्ष हो गए आजादी के, हम आजादी के 75 वर्ष की उजवनी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके अंदर अगर ऐसा भेदभाव है तो वो सरासर गलत. जांच होनी चाहिए उसके पहले. अगर हम ये सारा सब कुछ चला रहे तो शायद कहीं ना कहीं हम सामाजिक दूरियां बनाने की जो पहल है उस पहल में हम भी.
This is a subject we will look at a little more closely later in the week also on one of our programs. But thank you very much to both of you for joining us. We have to leave it there for now. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Good night.